Like and subscribe right now, or else this will be in your bed tonight. r/ask Reddit by Planet Reddit. What is an adult problem you were not prepared for? Dealing with your parents acting like children. You would think after you move out of your parents' garage that you would not have to deal with their attitude, but guess what, you still have to hear them complain. My parents have always acted like children. However, as a child I was blind to this. Now as an adult I realize how immature and lost my parents actually are. I realized my mom, I am an only child, was just a big kid herself 20 years ago. What shocks me is that almost everyone's parents become younger when they don't have kids to raise. This includes myself. I've got the book for you. Running on Empty by Jonas Webb. Overcome your childhood emotional neglect. You have to buy insurance but can never use the insurance or else no one will sell you insurance. Coming into adulthood and learning about insurance in America, it all just feels like a big scam. It all just feels like a big scam, I'd imagine, because in America, it is. Using insurance too. I've been fighting for the last 3 months because my homeowners refuses to acknowledge storm damage to my roof. I swear they've spent more trying not to cover the damage than if they would have just fixed things. Advice to other homeowners out there: never let an insurance adjuster look at your roof before a qualified roofer has. And make sure that roofer is present when the adjuster comes. If their adjuster misses things, they will fight like hell before admitting a mistake. Aging Parents. I love that show, but it didn't broadcast as much as I wanted to watch it for. Time does go by really fast for me now too. My parents are older than most parents with kids my age, so I have to experience everything sooner than many people in my age. So nobody to talk about such things. The people who understand me are people older than me by 10 plus years. My mom had me at 36 when most people were still having kids in their early 20s. I feel you. My mom had me at 45. My dad was 50. My mom passed away in 2014 and my 84-year-old father is a constant worry. I shouldn't be dealing with this in my 30s. Trying to make friends. Being social as an adult is rough, especially when your friends start moving away or having kids. Yeah, my social circle completely disbanded. We were a tight-knit few, but then one moved overseas to be with the love of his life and the other two moved interstate in opposite directions, and being the introvert that I am, I don't find socializing with strangers an enjoyable experience or an easy way to make new friends. This hits hard and is 1000% relatable. I bet you also get the forever helpful just put yourself out there comments from the people who don't understand what it is like to be an introvert. The constant obsessive feeling that I'm fast running out of time to have an enjoyable life even though I'm only in my 20s. That's actually a really good way to put it. Not being able to sleep due to stress. Yet here I lay, exhausted but wide awake. When I was younger I could sleep anytime, anywhere. Not too long ago I was waking up at 2 AM and just laying there for 2 hours tossing and turning thinking about all the world's problems. So I decided to outsmart my own brain. When that happened I vowed to get out of bed and go run, which I know from experience I hate doing. So my brain learned that if I was going to wake up at 2 o'clock it was going to have to go running. And eventually, not wanting to do that, I quit waking up at 2 AM. How expensive lamps are. And dining room tables. And kids. And the things kids break. Falling in love at an older age but watching life speed by so fast. Wished I'd met her 30 years ago. All the choices you made led you to that love though. You could say the same about my hernia. So love does come in all shapes and sizes then. Going from having tons of friends to really having no one. Even the few you have, if they get married and start popping out kids before you. I was a groomsman at my buddy's wedding and haven't seen him face to face in 2 years. First kid, back to college for his master's degree. House renovations have all kept him on lockdown, and now quarantine right when he finished his degree. Man, you really have to work at friendships in adulthood. I've got 3 proper friends left from school. 2 of them. My girlfriend is really friendly with their wives, so we meet up with all of us. The third dude, excluding his stag do and wedding, I've only seen him 3 times in the last 3 years. Thankfully we met up just before lockdown started. The best friends in life you cannot see for ages, but when you meet up it's like you only just saw them the week before. Getting the spending under control has easily been one of the hardest things I've done after buying what I want with no problem for over 4 years. God, it's the worst. How quickly fruits and vegetables actually go bad when you buy them yourself. And you buy them thinking you're going to eat them. Because they are good for you and you know that. Because you're an adult. But there's always something else to eat and no one is making you eat your vegetables. Look up the cartoon panel. Crisper drawers. Where good intentions go to die. In my mind my mama should be about 40. She has always seemed to be so strong, but sometimes I want to fall apart when I see her take several attempts to stand up or make excuses about driving on the interstate. She will be 70 soon, but to me she is still young. I don't know what I'll ever do without her. I lost my mom 8 weeks ago. It's hard living without a parent. She was only 60, but I always thought of her as 42. She died before I had the chance to talk with her one last time. It was very unexpected. Give your mama a hug and tell her you'll drive her down the interstate to get her where she needs to go. Being able to not cook the same meal every day while balancing hundreds of other tasks. I will always admire my mom for how she was able to cook, have a clean house, work 43 hours and help her children do homework, all while taking time to work out at the end of every day. I could mention other common problems like money management and common tasks that I haven't mastered. But what really hit me like a train was the actual transition of adulthood. I'm talking about having to make my own appointments and having to keep tabs on myself instead of handing every single document to my mom. I realized how unorganized I was when I found my birth certificate in the same drawer where I have junk receipts. I realized how unorganized I was when I found my birth certificate in the same drawer where I have junk receipts. Hi, I'd like to return this child. Yes, I know he is 30 years past the return date. Can I speak to the manager? Drifting away from school friends because moving away, but then struggling to make new friends in a new city. I have a friend from high school that I really do love to hang and talk with still. When I moved to college 2 hours away, we barely saw each other. When I graduated and moved only 40 minutes away, I swore I would visit more often. But I also then had a job that ate up my time. I ended up seeing her even less now despite living closer. It's so frustrating. Keeping everything balanced in your 20s is so damn hard. Having others rely on you as an emotional ballast. I can barely stay sane myself, let alone carry someone else. When I was young, death seemed very romantic. The idea of everyone being so sad about you being gone and regretting every wrong against you. Now I have way too many responsibilities to die. I have seen how loss really affects the people I love and would never want to subject them to that. Oh, especially when they just do not make an effort to emotionally regulate themselves at all. If every single thing is a crisis 24/7, what could you possibly want me to do about it? Pain. Arthritis is fucking horrible, and early onset autoimmune arthritis is worse than just having an ache in one or two joints. I hurt all the time, everywhere, and everyone just believes you're faking it or you're a pill popper. I am not going to live another 20 years with this pain like my dad did. And the worst part is when people say you're too young to have arthritis. Yeah, I agree. I'm way too young to have this shit. Still got it though. I don't have arthritis, but I do have other issues that I end up having to use a cane for sometimes at 28 years old, and I get the "you're too young for that" a lot. It drives me up a wall. Like, thanks, you've cured me. I hadn't considered I may be too young for this. If only I'd known it was that easy. I get "you're too young for that" all the time. I have cancer. Turns out, you get fat from overeating. Scott gained the power of self-respect. Having a presentable place, and debating myself on why it matters. It always frustrated me when my parents had a guest over and we had to deep clean the whole house. Like, if it's my close friend of 8 years visiting, why do I care what they care about my cleanliness? And yet, every time people are over I find myself cleaning the apartment up for some reason. First thing you say is "excuse the mess." Having to institute a complete body hair management program. Ears, eyebrows, nose, chest, balls, behind, then losing it the only place I want it, my head. For the first time ever, a few months ago my barber said, "Mate, you want me to do something about these eyebrows?" Same. About a year ago, it feels like being offered a breath mint. It's entirely possible to lose your job through no fault of your own. This. Having lost a job I was very passionate and proud of and excelled in very quickly with great promise of bigger and better things, and then boom. Laid off. All accomplishments suddenly mean nothing. When you're not in school surrounded by your peers, meeting new people and making friends is much harder and in many cases almost impossible, and dating is a whole other ballgame. Then again, for a lot of us that isn't too different from how high school was anyway. I've found it easier to make friends at work than at school. At work everyone I'm around is more or less like-minded and we have at least one thing in common. In school I was made so miserable by the system that I really didn't connect with anyone. The lack of time for myself. Life is all work, housework, yard work, childcare, bills, emails, phone calls. What's funny is that I have so much more free time now as an adult, single with no kids, that I know of, and it still doesn't feel like enough. No homework, no silly adult projects, renovating bathrooms, etc. No extracurriculars that take up a load of time. And yet every night once I'm done eating dinner it's like damn it I have to go to bed in a few hours. When I was pregnant with my first child, I heard on the radio that the average mother had an hour of free time each day. I didn't believe it. How could anyone only have 1 hour a day? 7 years and 3 kids later. Yep, lucky to get an hour a day to watch TV. And that's often combined with folding laundry and stuff like that. So it's barely even free time. Crippling loneliness and romantic rejections. My heart is just dead, and now I feel empty inside. Realizing that not even your parents have all the answers, and finally understanding that they were just figuring it out as they went just like we are. Not having an all-knowing figure to give you the answers to all your problems is the pits and I hate it. Edit. Just wanted to add that I agree figuring stuff out for yourself is rewarding and fun, but some things you really don't want to figure out for yourself. Or can't figure out, and for those things it's nice to have someone to point you in the right direction. No one telling you to stop procrastinating. Many Redditors mention the 5-minute rule to fight procrastination. Basically, if something takes 5 minutes or less to complete, just do it. It creates momentum and it might encourage you to complete tasks that require more time. How fucking dark life actually is. Like, is this all we do? Just grind away at jobs we try to care about, but no one else cares about. Barely able to afford our bills, houses, debts. Constantly struggling with relationships and trauma and watching our political system fail us. Our country fail us. Our systems fail us. Like, this life is not what happy, adolescent me dreamed it would be. Sorry to get real dark on y'all. There's something so comforting to me about knowing that there are other people that feel this way. I think a side effect of coming to terms with this truth is that it's an isolating feeling. It really helps to know that we're not alone in feeling that we're toiling in mediocrity. Join our community Discord, link in description. Having to have a genuine purpose in life. There's none. Just enjoy the ride. The snowball effect of poverty. Every major bill or unexpected emergency, $500 plus, takes you back 6 months to a year. It feels like you're on an escalator made of mud. I was in no way prepared for the fact that one dark horrific day I would sit on my own balls, which is definitely something someone should have mentioned. It left me feeling different somehow. Gross pay versus net pay, holy shit. Also, still haven't gotten my first stimulus check. Preparing for retirement. Of course everyone knows they will stop working at some point, but now that I'm 40, it feels like I really need to get it together. Am I going to continue bad habits that negatively impact my health, or will I finally make changes to be healthier later? My new favorite worry. Will I really have enough money to retire and live comfortably enough to have a good of quality life? 10 years ago this all seemed so far away. Now, it feels like I'm speeding to the next phase of my life. I'll be working up until noon on the day of my funeral. Cliques and bullies are just as bad in the office as they were in school. As you got older, isn't it easier to call them out? I have no problem with throwing a bully's behavior in their face and watching them try to justify being a d-head. Next time someone says something mean to you, just try it. It's amazing to see a 40-year-old man look completely lost when you ask him why he thinks only poor people eat flatbread and hummus. Like WTF Greg, it tastes good. It's not my fault your fat behind doesn't understand why everyone isn't drinking Mountain Dew and eating Snickers. Fucking bipedal elephant. Oh, trust me, I do that. In my last job, the bully was my boss, and things kept escalating between us until she fabricated some incidents on my review to build a case for firing me for performance reasons. I found a new job almost immediately, before she could fire me, and made a detailed report to HR. She also harassed me for a medical condition I have, and basically the entire team went to HR on my behalf to validate my story. The company has done nothing and she is still terrorizing the team. The fact is, if bullying is built into the culture of a company, the bullies will always win, no matter how much you call them out. People rely on you, both your parents and your kids. You become the filling in a responsibility sandwich and the weight of it is crushing at times. How ignorant so many people are, and seemingly pleased with being so. Sustaining motivation to continue my responsibilities such as money and shelter. Being the mature one. Woman here, random chin hairs, popped up in late 30s, I feel betrayed. Medical issues and the costs associated with them. I went from a late 20s guy with no issues other than the occasional cavity to a late 30s guy with spondylolysis, OSA, anxiety, RLS, and hypertension in under 10 years. It's crazy that I am taking medications and trying to improve my health because my doctor said I could die in 20 years if I don't shape up. Seriously, I just want to drink beer, play guitar, hang out with the missus and maybe smoke some weed now and then, but these last years have hit me like a ton of bricks, and from what I understand it keeps getting worse. Having a gorgeous woman you are crazy about and very turned on by in bed, and having your N not cooperate. No, it's not you. You're the best thing ever. I'm tired and my chronic pain is flaring up and I had 3 drinks instead of 2 and I'm in my 30s. Come on lil soldier. Fight the good fight. Having my daughter diagnosed with a brain tumor. There was no way to ever prepare for that. Edit. Thank you everyone for the kind words. Her diagnosis was almost 5 years ago, and she is doing fantastic now. I'll give a little backstory to answer some questions. She was 5 years old when she was diagnosed with an optic nerve glioma, or a tumor on her optic nerve, and had fully lost all vision in her left eye by the time it was discovered. She had absolutely no symptoms at all that we were able to see. I was a stay-at-home mom at the time and she wasn't falling, tripping, getting lightheaded, headaches, nothing. How we found out what was her dad and I were doing a craft with her and she made a pirate periscope out of a paper towel roll. When she held it up to her one eye she said she couldn't see anything. After us covering her eye and asking questions, we believed her. What sealed it for us was when we covered her other eye and shined a flashlight into the bad eye. Instead of her pupil restricting in response, it dilated to almost the entire size of her iris. We panicked, naturally, and took her to the ER. Within 30 minutes she and I were in a helicopter heading to a large city children's specialty hospital, with my husband driving to meet us there. She had the symptom of a TB, traumatic brain injury, and that was outside the realm of what our small local Band-Aid hospital could even begin to handle. We arrived about an hour and a half before my husband, and had all testing done when he came in. We had an answer, an optic nerve glioma that has atrophied her optic nerve and the grape-sized tumor was starting to push out her eye. Externally there were no visual symptoms. She did 12 months of every other week chemo and handled it like a champion. The blood supply to the tumor was killed and it reduced in size by about half. She is still totally blind in that eye, but you cannot tell by looking at or watching her. She's a straight A student, plays sports, and is an extremely talented artist. We still have to see half a dozen ologists, neurologist, neuro-oncologist, oncologist, endocrinologist, ophthalmologist etc., but is thriving and happy. Basically being alive. No joke. I never planned on living this long. Edit. I'm 24 now. 5 years past what I thought would be my end. I'm so sorry that so many of you feel the same way about yourselves. I hope you either find your peace or a reason to live, however small, Meanwhile, plan as if you're going to live till 70 so you're not stuck up the creek without a paddle. Stay safe. I love all of you. The amount of family get-togethers you don't want to go to after you get married. I have no bloody clue what I'm doing. I surely don't feel like an adult. Being single and childless at 30 doesn't help. Most days, I feel like a kid playing dress up. I wasn't expecting that. Dead. Getting dumped by someone you've been dating as an adult after months of thinking, you know this one is different. I really think we can make this work. Writing for a friend, of course. Peeing when I laugh too hard. Hello. How quickly your knees will age. Watching my parents get old. Dusting. It never ends. Hangovers. When I would drink a lot during college I would wake up the next and feel totally fine. Thought maybe I was immune to hangovers. Then at some point in my late 20s they started to hit me and hit me hard. Trying to find the right job. I'm a very indecisive guy. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for 3 videos a day.